You know I'm a bit of a plane geek, and with the lockdown I've not been able to travel for ages. It must be over a month since I've set foot on an aircraft. But I've recently discovered some Super 8 cinefilm footage taken by my grandfather back in the 1970s, and it's got some fabulous shots of some vintage aircraft. So for this episode of Rog Vlog, I thought I would share it with you. Fancy joining me? Welcome to Rog Vlog. Our little trip down memory lane takes us to the holiday island of Menorca. Now, of course, today it's a thriving, very busy airport. Back in those days, it was a lot smaller. Let's go take a look. Our first vintage jet airliner is the de Havilland Comet, here operated by Dan Air, and they were affectionately known as Dan Airways. Dan Air operated a fleet of Comets to the Mediterranean holiday islands. Dan Air fell into financial difficulties in the early 90s and were bought for the princely sum of £1 by British Airways in 1992. The Comet last flew in 1980, and this Dan Air example ended up at East Fortune Air Museum near Edinburgh. I wonder whether this is the same aircraft. Just taking off is a Britannia Airways Boeing 737-200 series. This is a MONARCH Airlines Boeing 720B. That's quite a rare aircraft to see, even in those days. MONARCH finally went into receivership in 2017, so they hung around for a while. This Boeing 707 belonged to Laker Airways, who used to fly to the Mediterranean under the brand name Skytrain. I remember this plane being incredibly noisy as we watched it taxi out to the runway. Laker went into administration in 1982. I think there's a bit of a pattern starting to emerge here. And this is my favourite part of that old footage. Now you must remember, back then I was only 6 years old, and this was the first time I'd ever seen a wide-bodied airliner, a Tristar from the airline Courtline. Imagine how huge this aircraft looked to me. Courtline was a popular charter airline and famous for their very colourful planes. This Tristar was orange and yellow, and other planes in their fleet were coloured purple, turquoise and green. Yes, it's a little garish, I admit, but I think the colour on this Tristar looks fantastic. Sadly, 1 year after this film was taken, Courtline went into administration as well in 1974, and those colourful planes were never to be seen in the skies again. Look at that train of luggage trucks. And Because there were no stairs at Menorca airport big enough to fit to the front of the aircraft, all the passengers had to disembark from the rear stairs which were built into the aircraft. And just arriving is this Dan Air BAC 111 jet, and this was the aircraft that was going to take my grandfather back to Manchester. There are so many travel vlogs around these days that show takeoffs from airports around the world. I can't believe that my grandfather took this all the way back in 1973. Right after takeoff are stunning views of the port of Mahon, the capital of Menorca. And some final glimpses of the coastline and the beautiful beaches of Menorca as the plane heads back to the United Kingdom. Such amazing memories. I just love all those vintage aircraft. If you enjoyed this episode of Rog Vlog, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you on the next one.